It's live.
Woohoo! We are live. Okay. Well, that means I get to play the fun, exciting, and wonderful video. So here we go, everybody. It's downstairs. Don't worry about it. And after a few technical difficulties, we're finally on. I'm Steve Sande, and joining me as usual this evening is Marty Edwards. How are you doing, Marty?
Oh, doing fine. It's been 3 weeks since we met. And of course, you know how long that is in dog years. That's why we had so much trouble getting this
It's
broadcast going.
21 weeks in dog years. And
we forgot a lot.
Well, I had such a good vacation that and eclipse trip, and of course that's what we're going to talk a lot about tonight is the eclipse. Even though it's kind of past history now, it's 2 weeks. We have a full moon tonight, but I'm sure that you probably agree that that was an amazing event.
It was probably the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. Really enjoyed it, and I had to tell you how a couple of apples made it a really good. And speaking of a couple of apps, speaking of a couple of apples, of course, on the big screen, and my friend who watches, the lady with the fiber, she had given my wife this apple. It's a cookie jar a few years ago, and so my wife suggested setting it out. I do know it's full of snacks, so if you hear crunching during the episode,
that would be fun, actually. So.
Well, let me tell you before I forget, because she's probably watching, and I know my wife is listening, at least to my side, that Pippin, your cat, has a fan club. The last time we broadcast, she and her husband, they have 3 Scotties that live in the house. And when Pippin was doing some of his, shall we say, antics, they started barking and really carrying on. And her husband said, "What is wrong with them?" And it was Pippin the cat had torn them up.
Oh, wow. So they love him. They're his fan club. They scream when he comes out.
The last part especially.
That's great. Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm trying to grow a beard. I was lazy on my trip, and I said, I'm going to try to grow a full beard instead of just this. So if I look a little, excuse me, scruffy today, that's what's going on there. And, maybe the Scotties will start barking at me too.
Well, they may do it. But I want to tell you how the iPhone saved the eclipse day for us. We got to see the total eclipse for 2 minutes, 39.6 seconds. So almost full totality. It was basically, we were only 4/10 off, I think, of full, the maximum you could see it in the U.S. But we had a place down in West Kentucky picked. And so I kept checking Storm app. We've written about that on the site before. And if you go, there's an option on the horizontal grid where it will show you the predicted cloud cover for each hour of the day. Well, the place that we were planning on going was like upper 30s. Then I saw it raise to the 40s. And it got up to 54% possibility of clouds. So I didn't really like that odd. So I told, I was like, you see these movies with a general sitting around the table, moving the little figurines with a stick. That's really what I was doing, almost metaphorically anyway. And so I picked a place actually not far from Dennis, down in Middle Tennessee. And I found out the eclipse was going to last 2 minutes, 39.6 seconds. And so it had a chance of 12% cloud cover. So I told my brother, he went with me, my mom and my wife and my brother's daughter, 5 of us went. And we left early that morning. And as we were going, the chance of cloud cover lowered to 11%. then 9, then it finally got down to 8. So I knew that it was clearing off even more so. So by the time totality came, well, the clouds never obscured the sun any time that we watched. And we found a place. It was a nice, we found a, if anyone ever is listening, it was Antioch Church of Christ building. We parked there. Probably about 12 people showed up. We had ample shade. We sat there and just really enjoyed and talked, snacked a little. And then it started getting darker and cooler. And I want to tell you, you know this, having seen, I wasn't quite prepared for totality.
Yeah.
You know, how it makes you feel. It was stunning. It was, well, there are no words. Just sudden, the sun's there still with a really bright spot. Then suddenly there's this big black hole in the sky and the corona.
Exactly.
I mean, I didn't know really what to say or do. Nothing to do. Just soak it up for 2 minutes, 39 seconds. That's all I could do. And I have to say, it's one of the most amazing things I have ever seen in my life.
Well, and what's so funny about it too is I know some people who said, "Oh, I'm not going to, drive up and see the eclipse," because from here it was north, and so a lot of people are saying, "Oh, I don't want to get in all the traffic. I'm not going to do this." And those people, they kind of went, "Oh yeah, eclipse, woo," But everybody I know who saw totality and went through that amazing event, they all have the same comment that you do, that it's one of those, it's almost a life-changing event. You see that and you kind of go, wow. I was just absolutely thrilled with our situation. Of course, we were with a group from the Fisk Planetarium of the University of Colorado. The head of that planetarium is a guy by the name of Professor Doug Duncan. And Doug is the guy who originally set this up starting about 3.5 years ago. And he got a group of really great speakers to kind of also talk about a lot of things. We had a guy who was on he's a cosmologist, not a cosmetologist, but a cosmologist who was on.
I thought it didn't help you a bit, but anyway, move on.
But, yeah, in fact, you look worse. But anyway, he gave a talk one night, and sadly I don't remember the guy's name, but he gave a fascinating talk on cosmology and dark energy and all the rest of these things, and just absolutely fascinating. It was one of those really good talks. We had another talk that was by a astrophysicist who was talking about weird stars, and that was fascinating. Interesting thing was that cosmologists that we were talking about, you've heard the term string theory and all that, and this guy just said string theory is so wrong. It is absolutely wrong. And you kind of knew that this guy has a little bit of what do you want to say, credibility in the business when he was showing a picture of some of his, him and some of his friends at a conference. And the friends included one guy who was absolutely asleep, which was really funny, but he said the guy sleeps during every conference, and then at the end of the talk, he asks these absolutely, incredible questions. And the other person that was next to him was Stephen Hawking. And he joked that Stephen Hawking was writing his next bestseller. So that was kind of fascinating too. But and then we had that, like I told you about the weird stars. We had this team that has proven the existence of this one type of really weird star that's a red giant star that has actually swallowed a neutron star. And they pretty much have proven that this type of thing exists. We had Stephen Hawley, I may have his first name wrong, but anyway, he's a shuttle astronaut. He was fascinating. And then we had a geologist who talked about the geology of the Tetons, which is where we were. So all four of the talks were great, but nothing, absolutely nothing compared to the, of course, to the actual eclipse. We had perfect weather, which was funny because when we first got up in the morning really early and started driving down to our location at the Jackson Hole Golf and Tennis Club, there were clouds in the sky. We're going, oh boy, here we go again. And sure enough, they just blew out. Everything was fine. It was 38 degrees when we first got to our site, heated up to about 70, and then dropped about 20 to 25 degrees during the eclipse. So we could really feel it. We were at about 6,000 feet, about where Barb and I live right now. But that was cool. That was really fun. I was glad to say that all my tech worked. I don't know have you had a chance to look at the 360 video?
I did. I looked at it. You took some great pictures. If I had to say this, and there's really no rhyme or reason for it. While I was looking, I guess there is, but while I was looking at it, I could actually feel tears in my eyes. It was just emotionally overwhelming. And my wife said the same thing happened to her. And,
I did the same thing after watching it.
It's just while it was happening, I guess it's just looking at it. I can't believe I'm really seeing this event that I've heard about so much, seen around the world. I've got 2 minutes. And as far as tech, just lay it aside and soak it up. My iPhone would not take any pictures. The corona was too bright. But but seeing around, of course, it got dark and it was twilight all around the horizon. Venus came out, and maybe some other stars. Dog really started barking across the way. And we were in a rural area, but I did see one security light come on, may have been more. But it was just, it was emotionally overwhelming in a good way. It was just spellbound. And I'm glad my mother got to see it. She's 86 and had never seen a total eclipse. So she really enjoyed it. And it was a perfect day actually, we didn't have any traffic going down. Coming back, it was terrible. And a friend who donated this, Miss Fiber, her husband's the emergency director for the county, and they called and asked where I was at, and they directed me around a bunch of wrecks, which I greatly appreciated.
Oh.
So we got home, probably took an extra couple of hours, but it was well worth it. And as far as tech, I just went back to the Middle Ages. Just look at it,
Well, that was the reason I was glad I set up everything pretty much to go automatically. I had, excuse me, my whatever the heck you call it, time lapse going, which I figured out the next time I see a total solar eclipse, which hopefully won't. Well, I think it'll be in 2024. I'm going to set it up to with a fixed aperture because I had it dynamically change the exposure. And so it looks equally bright, except you can see things every once in a while. It would kind of darken down and then it would lighten up again. But I should have kept it at a kind of a equal or fixed aperture, fixed exposure, and then it would have gotten really, really dark and you would have been able to see that. Instead, you see out of 2 minutes and 48 seconds, you see like 3 seconds that are dark. The rest of it seems to be pretty much the same brightness. I was going to ask you, did you get a chance to see the shadow bands at your location?
Well, I watched for those, and just everything was so overwhelming and happening so much. We saw a lot of the crescent shadows of leaves and the such like, but I don't remember any shimmering per se.
Well, I luckily, we were with a group of people who, some people who had seen multiple eclipses. And they were smart enough to bring along a white sheet and put it on the ground. And so, of course, Steve goes, I'll see, if we see any shadow bands, I will go ahead and I'll see if I can film them. And sure enough, we got shadow bands. Now I'm going to go ahead and see if I can actually share this here. And it may be difficult to see, but I'm going to go ahead and share this. And can you see a screen that looks like a sheet?
I do.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play this. And what you're looking for is what looks almost like static. But you can hear people kind of screaming in the background. But if you look at this, yeah, you can see flickering on this.
Yes, I see it plainly.
That's my wife. She was excited as I was. So that was just before. Whoops. That was just before totality at our location, and we saw the shadow bands. Everybody was just going nuts. And could you hear that screaming and yelling in the background?
I heard it faint. I thought I heard it faintly, but not plain at all. So,
oh, I may not have had the sound up there, but it was, like you said, people, almost everybody had tears in their eyes. I saw people, who didn't know each other, hugging each other. They're going, "Isn't this the most unbelievable event you've ever seen?"
Well, I saw one well-known scientist, which I don't think he's religious at all. And of course, I know you and I and Dennis are religious people, and
yes,
biblical Bible believers and all. But I heard one guy, and he probably is really anti-religion, just from things I gathered. But he said it was the closest to a spiritual experience he ever had come to. And I thought that was interesting, and it overwhelms you emotionally. It's just no way to describe it.
Well, I always have to say to people who are non-believers who see a total solar eclipse is, if you just look at a random universe, what are the chances that we have a moon that is exactly at the right distance to exactly cover the moon that's the sun that's 93 million miles away, and do it on a fairly regular basis, even though, the moon is kind of wobbling up and down with relation to the plane of the ecliptic. But what are the chances of that happening? To me, that shows design.
Well, I agree totally. And I heard so many shows saying this is a cosmological coincidence. Of course, I don't, adhere to that whatsoever. It's just absolutely amazing.
Well, I think I mentioned the cosmologist who gave a talk there one night, and I don't want to, upset anybody if you're watching this and you're not a believer. But I thought it was really interesting. Now, this one gentleman who talked to us, he was on a team that I'm not sure when it was, but it was fairly recently. But they got the Nobel Prize for physics for basically their study of dark matter and dark energy and their observations and everything that went on there. This gentleman, gave a wonderful and very detailed and very, in some cases almost beyond comprehension talk. But at one point, he's talking about, well, this and that and the other thing. And he goes, well, I think, if you take a look, you almost have to look at a creator. And this is from a person who's a scientist, not a philosopher, not a priest, not a religious man at all. And, I think that's what they're finding is the more they look out, the more detail they get, the more it points to this didn't just all happen randomly.
Right. So they're seeing design.
Yeah.
So
there's something behind it that, but anyway, fantastic stuff. I was wondering, I wanted to show just a couple of pictures here too from our day. And unfortunately, let's see. I think I mentioned that we had a team there that was doing a balloon launch. And these guys, there were actually engineering and physics students, astrophysics students. And let me bring up this one picture here, and I'll show you the payload that they sent up on a balloon. Now, this thing launched. This launched about 2 hours before the eclipse. They actually, we were just about 3 miles south of the Jackson Hole Airport. And so they had to get special dispensation from the FAA to launch this balloon. But this was their payload. Nothing really terrific there. But here they had 4 GoPro 4K cameras. So, or excuse me, 6 of them. So essentially they were going to get a 360-degree video of whatever was going on. We also had a group from the planetarium that had a fixed GoPro cluster, and they were capturing stuff. This will all be used in a planetarium show for the University of Colorado. Now, this payload also had a radio antenna. It had altimeter. It had GPS. It had all this other good stuff in there, so they could hopefully track it and then find it later. Well, as luck would have it, they went ahead. I'm going to bring up another picture here. They went ahead and launched this. And let me just show the picture of the just before the launch of the balloon here. But as you can see, we had a really ugly backdrop at our location. This location where we were, this is, as I mentioned earlier, was at the Jackson Hole Golf and Tennis Club. And we were on the driving range, and beautiful because they let it dry out for a couple of days, so it was nicely dry. We were actually up on a little hill over on one side of this with telescopes and everything else set up. We had a couple people with tracking telescopes, but you can see the beauty of that area there. The mountain, you see, the highest mountain there. Yeah, the highest mountain there is the Grand Teton. And there was actually a group of people who climbed Grand Teton and got to the top for the total solar eclipse. And they've done a video, they've done a bunch of other things. But anyway, these folks launched that balloon. It got to about 100,000 feet just before the totality of the eclipse. And the other day they sent this picture. I'm going to go ahead and share this as well. They sent this picture. This is from the, this is over the Wind River range of Wyoming. And this is the shadow. They actually captured the complete shadow of the sun. And here are the Tetons over here. You can see the Snake River going through this area. Jackson Hole, where we were, or north of Jackson Hole, was about right here. So we were just about to get hit by the eclipse, so to speak. And that was taken from about 100,000 feet.
That's amazing.
These kids were just absolutely great to talk to. You know, I had a great time chatting with them because it was like, one of them was a civil engineering student. I said, hey, I graduated from CU Civil Engineering, 1978, you know. And so we had some great discussions about stuff. But that was absolutely a blast there. And then for those who haven't seen it, I hate to do this, but I'm going to just show a quick portion. Got to turn that off there. But I'm going to show a very quick portion of the 360-degree video. Pippin wants to see it. He's making noise in the background.
Dogs across Kentucky are waiting.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can share this. Maybe well, I can't go to full screen on that. Let's see, Google Chrome. There we go. I'm going to turn the sound up a bit here so we... Oops. Okay, so this was at the start of this. This gentleman here was from the, I don't know if you can see that, but he was from the University of Colorado. He's from one of the folks from the staff at the planetarium, and this is their 360-degree camera that they set up. But what I'm going to do is kind of fast forward through this to about 7 minutes, and you can tell it's getting quite dark here. Really starting to get dark. The cool thing about this is I can kind of scan around here. And that was my other camera. That was the iPhone. This was that sheet we were taking pictures of for the shadow bands. And in fact, I think the shadow bands were showing at this point. So you can hear people getting excited there, or I hope you can hear that. Yeah, so it's getting pretty close here. Pippin's getting excited.
Mm-hmm.
If you look off over the Tetons, you notice how dark it's getting over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was 1 minute before the eclipse. And people were really going nuts about this point. Whoops. I just went to full screen here. I'm going to exit full screen.
Looks good, though, full screen.
Oh, it does? I'll just
yeah.
show it there. My wife is right here getting really, really, really excited. We're scanning around a little again. Now, like I said, the darkest part of the shadow is like right over in this area. Whoops, I just stopped it.
Getting dark.
You notice how dark? Yeah. I think we're in totality now, because you notice how dark it's
right
here? Yeah, and we're pretty much seeing that darkness all the way around. The cool thing is you see this, I don't know if you can see this one dot that I'm kind of circling right now with my cursor. That is Venus. And I also have some photos that I took of the moon and the corona here. And right near there, you can actually see Mercury, which is kind of cool. But as you can see, lights were going on in the buildings at the golf course. I don't think you can see it here, but you could see lights on the hillside at the ski area, which was right over here. And there we are in the dark. Everybody was going nuts. I'm taking photos with my camera in between looking at it and just going, being absolutely amazed. And I don't know how I took pictures with tears in my eyes. I really don't.
It's as short as 2.5 minutes of your life.
It is. And you just wish you could slow it down.
Yeah. I was amazed how many planes I saw flying over right as it began. They were tracking it, and like NASA planes and such like.
Well, in fact, I'll have to show you a photo here. There was what we think was actually a commercial flight. And the guy, if you can see where my cursor is, he kind of came across here and then did a big circle. And so you got to see the, kind of the contrail there. But there's the sun. We're probably just about ready to get out of this. We got a beautiful diamond ring effect. I don't know. What was your opinion? When it ended, that diamond ring, didn't it almost seem to you like somebody had lit up an arc welder or something? It was just,
yeah, it was stunning.
Oh, watch this.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, we had totality. Then suddenly this little piece of sun is so bright, you have to turn away.
Yeah. And
one thing we haven't talked about, shadows are far more crisp during an eclipse.
Yes.
Because you don't have multiple limbs of the sun shining.
Yeah, it was, just such an event, such an amazing thing. And oops, I think I need to stop sharing there. What can we say?
Yeah.
Very cool stuff.
Well, 2024, I plan on being there. Try to.
I show a couple more images here that were just incredible. I talked about that group that was on top of the Grand Teton during totality climbing, and they got this unbelievable photo.
Oh, wow.
There's the eclipsed sun. You can see the three major prominences that were around the sun at that point, and this person was roped up and standing on a rock outcropping, and this other person was down below and took that unbelievable photo. So
that was great. I've taken a lot of screenshots of your photos tonight. I started out with a screenshot of your beard, and then I went on from there. It really just never stopped. No, I had to admit I did not do that. Yeah, I did not do that.
Well, it was. I'm trying to find.
That was a great shot there. You need to share that on the site or send it to me or something. That was
I sure
stunning.
Will. Well, I don't have. I did some work the other day on one of my photos, and did a pretty amazing edit on it. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share one. This is not the photo that I did the editing of, but just one last photo here, because I wanted to show you Mercury. And let's see here. Where are we, buddy? Oops. There we go. I had to bring up the share screen thing again. But this was one of the photos that I took. And you see this little white dot there?
Yeah, Mercury.
That's Mercury.
It's really hard to see Mercury.
Yeah.
At any time.
It's very hard.
Yeah, that's a good photo. I guess you use like your Canon for that.
Yeah, I had a 300 millimeter lens on it. So I zoomed in. The good thing about that, of course, is at totality, you don't need to have that solar filter on. So I took it off, took great photo, quite a few photos of it. But that was so much fun. And I will definitely send you some of the some of the pictures. Well, you know, we've spent 23 minutes talking about the eclipse. Why don't we talk about something else that's going to be very cool that's coming up next Tuesday?
And if people, before they leave, I've got a really good, I think, demo tonight. I am running YouTube TV. I live out on a farm in rural Kentucky, and do you know I'm in their coverage area?
No kidding?
I am. Their second wave of invites of cities was Louisville, Kentucky included, and I am just on the edge of it.
How do you like it?
Oh, yeah, it's great. I'll whenever we're ready, I'll demo and tell you some things about it, and it's pretty amazing, really.
Hit it, dude. I'm thrilled about this.
Well, all right. I'll go ahead. Let me screen share here. Yeah, you caught me a little off guard here, but I always wait to bring up the screen share because it's a little taxing to do both at the same time.
Yeah, it is.
Still no fiber, but I'll say this. I've seen like engineers and people with it drive out through here and nearly stop and look around a little bit. So we'll see. I think they've gotten, like, he really wants the fiber. Drive by every once in a while, drive slow and just, you know, get him excited. Yeah. All right. Let's do a new movie recording here on QuickTime. Sometime I need to show how to share your iPhone with QuickTime. And then I drop down. I want my camera to be the iPhone. And then I have to go over to the video here and tell it to, or go over here and screen share this. All right, we're ready to start here. All right, you should see the App Store on your screen now.
Yes, I do.
I thought I would just start with the App Store to show you what to look for. They do have a 2-week free trial, so you have nothing to lose. Go to the App Store and type in YouTube TV. It is a Google product, and I have loaded it. I tried the 2 weeks, and I have actually purchased the first month. You can cancel anytime. Nice. You see the icon there. What it is basically.
So it must be something you really, really like.
I do like it. It's got one feature I think you will actually say wow about. Okay, you open it up, and it tells me I'm in the Louisville.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I can't hear you all of a sudden.
All right, can you not hear me? All right. Can you hear me now? Yeah. All right, can you hear me now? All right, can you hear me now?
Yeah, not sure why, but I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Huh. Let's see. Did you mute yourself by any chance, or?
No, I'm not muted, but probably, well, you can't hear me. Can you hear me now?
I'm going to mute and unmute you and see if that helps. Don't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Well, that is strange, sir.
Oh. All right. I don't know what's going on. We may have to put this off till later. I wonder if anybody can hear me. So.
Still not hearing anything there.
All right.
One thing we could do, let me just check YouTube to make sure that
all right,
maybe it's something I'm not hearing. Let's see. It may be on my end. Yeah, it seems to be on my end. It's not you, dude.
You dude or YouTube?
YouTube. Well, hopefully we're not going to get any echoing or anything, but I went ahead and I don't know, maybe these things are out of power. So go for it. I'm sorry. That was bad.
That's fine. Can you hear me now?
You bet.
What I thought maybe happened, because YouTube obviously has audio, and I thought maybe it overtook my audio. Canceled out the Zoom. I couldn't broadcast two streams, Zoom and YouTube TV. So let's see if it happens again. I'd love to be able to demo this. I might just have to make a standalone video. So let me start over. New movie recording. Pick the iPhone. And I tell you what I'm going to do. The audio is selected for this microphone here. All right, so let me share the screen now. Okay, are we back to it?
Yeah, and I can hear you too.
Okay, I'm going to open up YouTube TV. Let me know if I cut off. All right, can you hear me?
I sure can.
All right, this is YouTube TV, and it's going to show a few things. Okay, I'm in the Louisville, Kentucky area. If I click my icon up there and go to settings, you'll see my home area is Louisville, Kentucky. That's my home zip code. So you have to be, pardon me, you have to be in an area covered to be able to do this. But I am really excited about it. Okay, you've got three icons: library, home, and live. Let me just do live first. The networks are there, has 12 sports channels. There's Tennessee versus Georgia Tech. I also teach reading on the side. But as you see, as you scroll through the guide, it shows thumbnails of what's playing. And note the little red bar. This game is, well, it looks to be about 85% through. I want to go down to this Florida-Michigan game. Well, it gives a logo. And then when I pause for a second, it actually shows they're in a commercial break. But let's just see. Here's Eastern Washington at Texas Tech. They seem to be as well. And here's a football game. Looks like it just started a bit ago. Can you actually see the video?
Yeah, I can.
So as you go throughout the guide, it will show, here's the golf channel. And let's go back to one of those football games and say I'm really watching it, and I really say I want to record this. Okay. I tap on it right there, and I hit the plus sign. Okay, I'm going to record that. All right, that's fine. It is recording in the background. Well, let's go ahead and leave this. Let's pick something else. This Florida versus Michigan game. A lot of these are probably replays. But I want to record that as well. I'll scrub through these pretty fast later on. And so I want to record that. Okay. And let's do maybe a couple more. Here's a soccer game. And you go through, and then you can see what's going to be on later. But I want to record some live things here. Okay, I've got everything set down. It's recording, but where is it recording? It's recording on YouTube's servers. I go back to my library, scheduled recordings. Well, look, I've got 4 things recording. I already had one Star Trek Voyager set to record.
Wow.
It's recording all 4 at the same time. There is no limit to the number of stations that you can record at one time. If you've got 30 stations, want to record them all, just do it. And so there we are recording, and I've got some things coming up, some various games, and I can go back to, and I love the fact that the DVR is on their site. It comes quickly, and it plays the, here's some sporting events. University of Kentucky, which is local, played the other day, and let's say I wanted to see that game now. I just hit it and start playing. It was recorded 2 days ago. But remember, I'm watching this while recording 4 other channels, 4 other things going on. And one of the things about this, I don't know why that's not showing the video. I'll tell you, they have some copyright things. I've tried to take a screenshot and they're all black when I take them. So I don't know, and that maybe won't let me, it doesn't want me broadcast a recording, which I understand. But Fox Sports South and the Fox Sports and CBS Sports, which this one was on, actually broadcast in 1080p. We've got a new 4K TV back here. When I go back to watch the recordings, they're in 1080p. YouTube records them at the highest level possible. And when I hit home, it's just got some suggestions for me of other games since I've watched some games. As you see, these are not just static images. Star Trek Voyager is live. It actually shows me where it's at in the program right now. All these, there's the tennis. It's an amazing app. And it's $35 a month. So I did pay for the first month. And one of the reasons I got it, well, we don't have cable ourselves. My mom does, and I can watch hers. But I sort of wanted to experiment with it a little bit. And in the first month, I actually get, they will send you a free Chromecast. I already have a Chromecast built into this television. Wow. And it's really pretty simple laid out. But let's just see. I have, since we talked about it, well, you can search for programs. Let me search for Apple and just see if there's anything. I don't even know what some of the Appleseed Cast. And you can look for things like that. Of course, I didn't spell Apple right. All the viewers are saying I did not. And you can search for various things. Let me just look up tech. And so you can see, well, Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech at Duke. I was actually thinking computers. Dell Technology Championships. That's going to.
It was golf.
Yeah, I know. So I'll hit record on that. So it should be scheduled. It's quite intuitive. I'll go back to my library. I still got the 4 things recording. It doesn't matter if I want to do 5. Let's just let's add one more game. See if it does it. I don't think I've recorded more than probably 5 things at once. And so really not a whole lot else to say about it. I gave the price. Let me go back to my library. Sure enough, 5 things recording. It keeps the recordings for 9 months, then they drop off.
Wow.
So that's pretty much it. Do you have any questions? I'm no expert, but I've used it a lot. It works great. You can watch on your TV, broadcast. If you have Apple TV, you can broadcast to that or Chromecast. And it's really a nice app. So 5 things recording there. And one thing, since I just clicked, I only had to click like Star Trek Voyager one time. It records it every time it sees it coming up on any channel. And as you see, there's a bunch, but there is no storage limit. I mean, I can have hundreds of hours. I'm recording Doctor Who during the night. It gets every episode it sees coming up. And so that's pretty much YouTube TV.
Well, I do have one question for you.
Okay.
The question is, why aren't they doing this in the Denver area yet?
I live on a farm in Kentucky. Our county, the year I graduated from high school, which was 78, but we only had 2 traffic lights in the whole county. We might have 5 or 6 now. I know of at least 2 counties that border us that don't even have traffic lights. We've got YouTube TV. I've got neighbors that have fiber. I don't have like a wife that has fiber, but we'll get to that later on.
Well, we have, the strange thing is the Denver area is really kind of I don't know what you want to call it, almost like a cable hub. I mean, we have just about every one of the major cable carriers, even if they don't offer their service in the area, they usually have a facility here. One of Comcast's, if I could remember the name of it, but it's one of their channels. They've owned quite a few, but one of their channels, they've had their major broadcast center is probably 3 miles away from my house, and yet we don't get this. I don't get it.
I know. Well, one of the things, yeah. Well, I am on the edge of Louisville coverage, where actually we can get Louisville and Nashville here. And I'm so close to the edge that sometimes it will not let me view the local network channels, but the cable channels are no problem whatsoever. If you're probably more into the heart of an area, you won't have any trouble. And but you do get 2 weeks free. You just go on and cancel. I did cancel, but then a few hours later, I signed back up and it said, you're not in the area. I couldn't understand it. So I tried about 12 to 15 times. It finally said, you're in the area. It makes no sense, rhyme or reason whatsoever. But
at least you got it working there, which is absolutely great.
It is. And you can watch on your phone pretty much anywhere. It uses little icons. If you can't watch out of your home area, it puts a briefcase with a negation sign. And some things you're not allowed to watch on your phone. Pro football will only let you broadcast to a TV. It's licensing issues. So, but I really got it for sports because our local cable, I don't know if you realize, but ESPN only broadcasts at a maximum of 720p. Yeah. And, but those others like Fox Sports and CBS Sports do the full 1080. It's absolutely stunning. I did not realize sports and all would look so good. It's amazing. So I've really enjoyed it. And I think I'm going to keep it at least for the foreseeable future because I know they're adding stations all the time, networks. I didn't go over all they had, but you can look that up online. You get your local networks, about 12 sports channels, National Geographic, a couple of those, an Olympic channel, a few Fox movies, various things like that. The big omissions right now are any CNN and Weather Channel are not on here. TBS and any of that Turner broadcast, none of that's available. So,
man, I am, I shouldn't be jealous, but I'm jealous. That's a heck of a service. And like you said, for $35 a month, for a lot of what people generally get a full cable package costing, $150 to $250. That's pretty darn impressive.
They do have 2 add-ons, Showtime for $10 a month and something else. I don't recall. I wasn't interested in those. I was really one of the basics. I'm not a super sports fan, but I thought we got this 4K TV. I wanted some good 1080 sports. Cannot get it through the cable company here. And even on our only 15 meg down at this point, 1080 is absolutely stunning. I've actually, just a side note here, I've been able to watch a little bit of 4K TV off YouTube. And 4K, it's amazing, really.
Oh, and so watching those some of the 4K YouTube videos on the 27-inch iMac, I can't imagine what it's like on a larger screen.
This is 50-inch, and I've noticed on these sometimes I'll go to a ball game, it's 1080, and the TV will tell me what quality it is. I'll hit it, it'll say it's 480, then 720, and then it gets up to 1080. It has to buffer a little bit, but I read that was really common. But I highly recommend it for the 2-week free trial, and sometime enter your area code. You might just be surprised.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get it the first day.
Yeah, and there's Pippin the cat.
Yeah, he's decided to make his, hopefully the dogs are now barking at your friend's house.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons I went ahead and resubscribed. My wife had suggested, she said, this will be a good thing to demo on your broadcast.
Yeah.
Was this a YouTube TV?
So, I've been waiting just seriously waiting for that. And I can't wait until it shows up here. Really?
I think you'll enjoy it. And I tell you what was the seller for me, unlimited DVR storage, record as many programs at the same time as you want. Now I can't go back and watch all five. I won't demo now, but I can pull a game back up and I can scrub through. And you see the little pictures as you scrub through and get exactly where you want. So you can scrub forward or backwards, hit rewind. So find what you want. I don't think you can even delete a program. It just stays on their servers for 9 months. So
that's incredible. Well, one thing I was going to, and I hate to push you off there, but I thought we probably ought to talk about.
I've said enough.
Next Tuesday, we're going to actually do a version, or I think it's episode 21 of Apple World
TV.
Today TV, and AWT TV. And of course, we've got the September 12th Apple event coming up. We'll be at the Steve Jobs Theater, so that's the first time we get to see that location. We should, I'm not sure if we will, but we should see the release of all of the new versions of the operating systems. We may just see iOS 11 and watchOS 4 and maybe tvOS 11. They might wait a little bit on macOS 10.13 High Sierra, but it'll be interesting to see what happens. But the big question is, everybody is wondering if the iPhone 8 or iPhone 10 or iPhone X or iPhone edition, whatever it's going to be called, waiting for that to come out. That, of course, is the device with the 5.8-inch OLED display. Just so much excitement around that. It's scary. And then we also expect to see the iPhone 7S and 7S Plus, even though some people think those will be the 8 and 8 Plus. Who knows?
Yeah.
For you, Mr. Marty Edwards, we're hoping to see a 5th generation Apple TV that will support 4K HDR video.
Well, that's what I'm looking for. I've never had an Apple TV, but if they come out with a new one that has 4K, I would like to consider purchasing that to run it to this television and just broadcast the phone right to it. And one of the things I read, the ESPN app for Apple TV now, even your current ones, you can show 4 ball games at the same time, like 4 football games on the screen. I guess you've got to have the bandwidth, but it's amazing. So what they're doing.
Yeah. And I'm almost beginning to think it would be time to get myself a new Apple Watch if they come out with the new version with LTE built in. Of course, my problem is I always have my iPhone along because I like taking photos. So.
Right. Well, one thing we haven't heard mentioned whatsoever for next week is any iPad news.
Yeah.
Or really Mac. They pretty well have done that this year, and there'll be a little bit more Mac before the end of the year.
You know what I'd like to hear about?
What's that?
A Mac Mini.
I agree fully. I think that's the best computer for a server. It just sits in a corner and just works.
Yeah. And, they haven't done anything with it or even talked about it for so long.
It's 2014 was the latest.
Yeah. And it'd be so cool to see a new Mac Mini out there.
Well, I'm excited for next Tuesday. That's a big event. It'll be 10 o'clock Pacific. And just for anybody you have to watch, probably on your computer, apple.com. But I think also you can watch on Windows 10, but you can't do versions below that on Windows.
Yeah.
Of course, no one watching us runs Windows, I'm sure.
Well, we can hope people aren't still running Windows XP, but I'm sure there's somebody out there who is.
Well, my Windows machine that I do some gaming and stuff on, still has 7. I tried 10, didn't even like it. Well, I'm in the market for a new Mac. I'm waiting for this computer to die. I built it back in the days when I was building this PC. I built it, motherboard and everything, bought the parts. It was 10 years ago this month. It just keeps going. So
it's almost Mac-like in that respect.
Yeah, I know it. I told my wife, she said something about, well, maybe, someone would want it or something if you got a new Mac. I said, no, it's like a Stradivarius. It's my last hand-built one I ever did. I can't part with it.
It's even better than a Strad,
Yeah, exactly. So.
Oh, wow. Well, I think we've come to we've been on, let's see, even with our problems, probably about a little over an hour, but next week's going to be absolutely fun because we'll get to discuss all those great announcements and rehash them. I think Dennis is going to be with us next week because we've decided that we'll probably be going to Tuesday nights on a regular basis for a couple of reasons. First, Dennis has more availability on Tuesday nights. And secondly, we have something called Monday Night Football that's going to be starting up here. And I don't think that they want us competing with them.
Yeah, they ask us to move because of the crowds being pulled away.
There's too many people watching Apple World TV. So yeah, it's craziness out there. So yeah, that, and hopefully we got all of our tech issues out of the way tonight. I apologize for that. Like I said, it's amazing. You get away from this stuff for just a couple of weeks. What happens?
Yeah.
Brain damage. So from me, Steve Sande, would like to thank everybody for watching. And once again, if you like watching this video, watching this show, share it with your friends. Definitely give us a thumbs up on YouTube because that helps attract people to the videos. And, we're talking still about possibly opening things up so that people can call in. We can have people talk with us. Hopefully we get our tech issues under control before then, but that would definitely be fun to have more people be able to actually participate in the conversation without even needing a computer. So we'll definitely look at doing something like that here in the future. Anything to say there, Mr. Marty?
Well, next time you see us, the Apple event shall have been history, and I'm really excited, especially for the iPhone, Apple TV, but the iPhone especially. So we're going to be very excited and probably talk from beginning to end next week, Tuesday night.
Yeah, and wish me luck. Tomorrow I go in and have a molar pulled out, so hopefully it won't look like this next week.
Yeah. Well, the beard will cover most imperfections.
Yeah, that's why I'm growing. Okay, thanks everybody, and we'll go to our outro here, which everybody loves to watch and listen to. See you next week, everybody.